What is going on, everybody? Joey and Kayla with Tactical Response. And with the recent stuff that's going on over in Idaho, so for you guys who don't know, there was a dude who set fires and intentionally lured in first responders so he could begin shooting them as they arrived. And when we were talking about this earlier, it kind of brought to light some of the mindset principles or little tweaks that people sometimes need to make in their mindset to be prepared for things like this.
We want to offer some other perspectives on questions you should ask yourself to kind of find out, like, what is your role in this kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first one that we kind of talked about is this whole concept behind allowed versus able. And we are not telling anybody to break the law. What I will tell you...
Go get those laws changed.
Yeah, right. What I will tell you is, if you have ever found yourself asking or saying, well, I can't carry there because what if I get caught? But you have never done the follow-up question, or what if I get caught with it?
Yeah.
What if I get caught without it? You know, we should not be worried about litigation when our life is on the line.
Right. And that's the most common question that I see, like, or the most common response when I ask people, like, hey, do you carry your gun? And they're like, I'm not allowed to at work. And what are the consequences if you get caught with your gun at work and you're not supposed to have it? Like, well, I could lose my job. I'm not saying that is not a valid concern. Like, feeding your children is absolutely a valid concern. But that's usually where people stop the conversation. And if you haven't asked yourself, okay, yep, that is what happens if I get caught there with it and I'm not supposed to have it, you have to ask yourself, what happens if I get caught without my gun and I need it? Trauma. That is what happens.
Yeah.
It's a trauma. And the level of violence will depend on that specific scenario. But I have always been appreciative of knowing I had my gun whenever I thought, like, this might be a moment that I want to.
Yeah.
Like the active shooter at Martin where it turned out to be an armed robbery. Like, I don't feel safe walking around the park or walking across the parking lot without my gun. Glad I have that.
Right, yeah.
So you have to finish asking yourself all of the questions and get perspective from both sides.
Absolutely.
If you have considered all things and that is still the course of action, again, like, either your gun is the weapon. Either
you're the weapon and the gun is the
tool, or the gun is the weapon and you're the tool.
Yep.
So there are other options. You should look into those if you are not able or make the decision that it is not worth it to carry.
My biggest, like, when I hear a student, when we're talking about this stuff, say, I can't carry there, it breaks my heart a little bit.
Yep,
because I understand there's going to be times where, like, you literally cannot, like, depending on what your line of work is, you know?
Like, I worked at a jail.
But
Didn't take your guns in there.
Right? But if your job is, like, I'm a stalker at Walmart, and I can't carry there because it's, again, like, no, like, that's not the correct mindset you should have there. Like Kayla was saying, if you go through that whole process and you still land at, I am not going to carry my gun, that's on you, that's okay. Understand the risks you're taking there.
You're accepting you are accepting the correct consequences of whatever actions. Like, my concern is with people who don't even realize that those are the consequences that they're accepting.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was the next topic? I forgot my lines.
You are your own first responder. Like, you're the only person guaranteed to be at 100% of your emergencies. And I can promise you that with first responders being under attack, it is going to trickle down and affect response times. It's going to trickle down and turn into problems for more than just those first responders who are already putting their lives on the line for you.
Yeah.
Like, so let's not... First of all, if you're attacking first responders, cut that shit out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, firefighters.
I know, that's fucked up.
Like, they don't do anything except help people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whew, yeah, but you cannot understand the motivations of psychopaths. So I'm not
Right.
going to sit here and try to. Just what you can do about that, and understanding that you are your own first responder.
You're guaranteed. The only person guaranteed to be at all of your emergency situations is you. So I actually really like the way Jay talks about this at the end of a class. So particularly like in Fighting Pistol, he'll typically, when we give our closing thoughts, he'll tell the students like, hey, think about who you want at your emergency. Like what kind of, like how well can he shoot? What kind of like fighting skills does he have? What kind of medical stuff is he carrying?
Negotiating skills.
Yeah, like all these things. Like think of all of that stuff.
I don't even have any good skills. Girls only want boyfriends who have great skills.
And then understand that like that guy can be there to an extent if you put the work in.
Yeah,
because
you
that's
have
who
to be
you
that
should
guy.
you should strive to become, that person, that knight in shining armor that you're expecting. You should just plan on you being that guy.
And then I think the last big thing that this brought up a discussion on for us was the sheriff
Yeah.
has already told the people in his county, the civilians in his county, like if you see that guy, to take care of the threat.
Yeah. We're paraphrasing a little
Yep.
bit, but yes, yeah.
To take care of the threat. And we were talking, and you said the very first active shooter.
Yeah, one of the earliest because I can't remember if it was very first, but we do talk about it in our active shooter class, and it was down in Texas, and there was a guy up in a clock tower or something like that, and he was shooting people, and civilians were shooting back at him. And again, I'm fuzzy on the details because it's been a little while since I've read about it, but I believe, and I know the internet will correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was a civilian and some cops who finally made it up that clock tower and were able to stop this guy.
Right.
And I mean, listen, not telling you that you need to get involved in all of these situations. No. If wherever your line in the sand is at, we will never judge you for that. But if you think you're that guy and you're not prepared to do those things, you have some work to do.
Yep. Like I said in the pack your bags or check your packed bags video, like, yes, things have always been dangerous. Yes, there's always stuff going on. And especially as a millennial, I feel like growing up every other Friday was like the world is ending, like Y2K and the Mayan calendar and like all of these things. And we do become a little bit jaded to those things over time. But we're seeing some new stuff here, guys. Like if you would have, like the first school shooting happened when I was in grade school, Columbine. Like, so things have changed, things are progressing, and it is really pertinent that you take responsibility for your own safety. We have seen through multiple emergencies, through COVID, through hurricanes, through floods, that even on their best days, like the first responders that show up to your emergencies, even on their best days, aren't there immediately. They can't always get to you in particular. There might be other things going on that are more important than one person. And now we know those guys are, we knew before, but those guys are at risk too. And so that's just another reason that like you have to be prepared to take care of yourself. You have to make sure that you have the skills to get your family through any events that come your way. And I'm not saying to go out there and be paranoid.
Right.
Like being prepared is being free from paranoia. Like,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I like the way Paul talks about it. Paul Markle over at Student of the Gun, when he's talking about, and this is more about the situational awareness, but whenever you start looking for the things that are bad, you start noticing the things that are good as well. So there's nothing wrong with knowing what's going on around you, being prepared. Again, frees you from that paranoia. So I like that turn of phrase as well. Excellent. Anything else for him?
I think those are the big things. Guys, carry your gun. Carry your medical. If you are carrying a way to induce trauma and not a way to fix it, you are wrong.
Yep.
And remember, your responsibility to be ready for the fight never ends.